Uh, so, Kara said she might be just a little bit late, only because they're going for their walk. So, but
Who's going for a walk? I don't know who you're talking about.
oh, Kara.
No, who's walking?
Oh, she's going for a walk with, I think, her either her significant other or her kid. I'm not sure. She just said we, so I'm not
Oh, she might have multiple personalities and shit.
sure. There might be that too. I don't know.
Roses are red. Was it? Violets are blue.
Yeah,
I'm schizophrenic, and so am
so am I. Yes,
I.
love that one. So you're watching the top grossing Chinese film in China ever on Netflix, the one that they kind of released and didn't say anything at all about.
Well, I, I, I've watched several of those.
Right.
Like the Monster Hunt ones actually played uh not too far from me. I like those,
Hmm.
and I liked Mermaid a lot, the Stephen Chow
Oh yeah,
one.
Mermaid was great.
Um,
Yeah.
but like that Wolf Warrior,
Hmm.
when 2 was making like all that bank, I was like, what the fuck is Wolf Warrior? So I watched the first one and I'm like, because it was already on streaming. I'm like, I don't know, it's not really my thing. And I watched 2 and
Hmm.
it was just really not my thing. But fucking Wandering Earth has got such a great plot. I mean, it's like a disaster movie basically,
Yeah.
but fuck, it's like breathless, man. I'm like, when you sent me a message, I'm going like, why did I start this? Like, I can't finish it before the podcast. And but then I start watching and going like, this is not the type of shit you need to be watching at home. Like, I was upstairs, I'm like, I need to put it on the projector.
Right.
So I'm gonna just start it over on the projector probably tomorrow or something, because it is like, it's fucking great. I mean, it is so intense. I mean, with you've been watching Godzilla and stuff, which is kind of disaster movie-ish, you know,
Yeah.
you'll
Yeah.
be all, I mean, I would be surprised if you didn't like it, because it's like, I don't know, it's in the vein of something like what's that one where they're drilling through, you remember how they did Total Recall?
Yeah. Yeah.
That, like, that remake was okay, right?
Yeah. The remake was decent. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the story they did with that. It reminded me of that a little bit. It reminded me of Armageddon a little bit, but it's better than like all of that, like all of those by a mile. There's only one character that I didn't dig, and I what sucks is Netflix doesn't, you can't listen to the Chinese language.
Oh, it won't let you do Chinese
I
language
it
with
wouldn't
subtitle?
it wouldn't let me do that. Like, it's subtitles,
Hmm.
it'll do the captioning, but like it wouldn't, like when I went to do languages, it was blocked.
Wow, that's weird.
But it sucks because like the character dubbing for some of them,
Hmm.
it just isn't that great, and that sometimes can get annoying. It's only 2 hours, thankfully. 'Cause
Yeah.
I'm
What?
like, I think we're not supposed to want this person to die, but I kinda do.
Yeah, I'm running into that with I'm running that into watching the variety of different Godzilla films, because whichever versions I can get access to are the ones I'm watching, and so sometimes you watch a dubbed version or sometimes you watch the subtitled version, and some of those dubbed ones, man, are rough. It's just like, wow, who picked the voice matching for that one?
Yeah, I mean, it's already gonna be a challenge even for a great one, just because of the pace of a language like, well, you're watching Japanese, that's even more so than this.
Mhm.
They just talk faster than we do,
Oh, they
and
do. Yeah.
so there's no way to get that shit sounding right when you change it to English. It's just, they're gonna sound like, yeah, it's all
Yeah.
funky.
I,
So I
I
combine that with not quite being the right type of actor for it. I feel for you.
I always joke with the because when I saw Godzilla, it was called Godzilla 2000 here, it was Godzilla Millennium in Japan. Uh they had it dubbed. And at one point, the this alien beastie is flying overhead in a newspaper office, and the one guy goes, "Great Caesar's ghost." And I'm like, I would just
Oh shit.
I always comment about that. I'm like, I want to hear the original Japanese version to see if that they just say Great Caesar's Ghost or what that sounds like in Japanese, or if that's what they even really said. Because
Probably not. They may have just come up with some shorter shit. I don't know. Like, I'm not like all a snob about the original language. I don't care, especially with action movies.
Mhm.
The first time I see it, I would probably rather prefer it be dubbed, especially with something like Wandering Earth, because there's so much visually. I mean, like 80 to 90% of the CG is just exactly as expensive looking as an American movie.
Yeah.
I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
it's
No.
like, but the fucking sets are just like so elaborate, and the costume, it's killer. I mean, it really is, man.
Yeah. I heard good things about it when it was, making record box office records down in a in China. So I was very curious about it, and it's cool that it's here now because I probably will be watching it
Yeah,
soon.
Netflix just doesn't make it easy to find out the new release. It's always been so sucky because you gotta go to like movies, but then there's like recently added,
Yeah.
but there's no real order to it, you know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
it's just Shutter's the only one that does it right. Like their interface makes sense. And a lot of people are kind of copying it at this point. Netflix is definitely trying
Hmm.
to copy it, but yeah, it's hard to find what all they've gotten, and there's no real good resource as far as like streaming calendar dates because that
Right.
shit just it's pushed and pulled and start and stop. And I've been wanting to see Climax, the
Yeah.
Gaspar Noé's movie. I've been wanting to see that for like months,
Me too.
and because I didn't want to spring for that expensive ass import Blu-ray. Some of my friends did, and I'm like, ah, I don't like his movies that much. I just want to see it,
Right. Yeah.
especially because it's a musical. So like, I think finally you could, if you wanted to, you could buy it digital like right now for like 12, $14. But I'm like, I kind of just want to see it. you know. So
Yeah.
maybe next week or something like that. There's one called Her Smell. It's by Alex Ross Perry.
Hmm.
Um, and I really liked his movie Queen of Earth. And that one I'm waiting to rent too. The art house theater is just really like struggling to make their mortgage, so they've been playing Endgame.
Oh, really?
Yeah. When I went to see High Life, it was like Endgame was playing next door. I'm like, gee, which science fiction film? I'll pick the 90-minute one.
I I really want to see um yeah, I want to see
High
that
Life?
High
You'll like
Life
that.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, you'll like it. It's really fucked up.
Good. I like those type of films.
Yeah, there was people
Uh,
leaving. I could tell when they were gonna leave too, like about like 20, 30 minutes in, they were like changing seats and they kept getting up and going to the bar, and then finally I was just like, yeah, motherfuckers are gonna leave. And as soon as shit started getting really hairy, because that movie, I'm dying to talk with somebody about it, but nobody I know has seen it. Nobody
uh-huh.
even wanted to go with me. I'm
Huh.
like, all right,
See,
whatever.
if I lived closer, I would have totally gone to see you there because
Oh, well, you'd see them early
uh,
too, because like the
yeah.
theater just when they get the key to unlock the digital projection copy, they
Mhm.
have to run it a check,
Oh,
right? They have,
nice.
they have
Yeah.
to run it like 2 days before to make sure there's no errors in
Right.
the copy. And so I just they email me and say, hey, I'm gonna run this at 1, 2, 3 or midnight or whatever if you want to come by and watch it. I'm like, fucking hey, I do. My friends like never. I'm like, it's free and you get to see it before everybody else.
Yeah.
They're just like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm tired or whatever." I'm like, "It's fuck. Okay, fine." So you get to see all that shit. You'd go. I
That's
remember
awesome.
I remember they had Pet Cemetery at midnight,
Oh,
and
nice.
everybody was like, "Oh," I'm like, "Are you kidding me? If we were fucking 16 or 22, you wouldn't say this shit." Like, I have to get up at 6 to take my kid to school. That is my life. I would rather not sleep at all than miss a fucking free advanced screening of anything, you know?
Yeah. Oh,
The
yeah.
only one I turned down was Endgame, but that was because it was 3 hours long. I can't. I'm like, "Couldn't y'all just play part of it tonight and part of it in the morning?" Like, I could be there by 9. Should have been 2 movies any goddamn way.
Yeah. It's one of those things where I looked at it and I was like, I actually kind of liked Infinity War better, but
Oh, no. It doesn't bode well for me.
but no, it was still, I mean, it's solid and all. So, you know.
I finally was like, "You know what I'm gonna do, man? I'm gonna see this Age of Ultron because it's the only one at this point I haven't seen."
Oh, really?
And I and I was trying to watch it the other night. I fell asleep so many times. It's like, I literally don't know if I care about what they're talking about. But I loved Ultron. Like, he was a trip. Like, that robot, James Spader,
Yeah.
he was good. Like, I thought he was funny. I'm like, wow.
You,
They should have put him in Chappie. This would have been a trip.
it would have been a totally different movie.
Imagine Ultron acid Chappie. Oh, that would have been great. That was what I kept thinking. I'm like, oh man, he was a good. Like, it's crazy that one of my favorite Marvel villain turns out to be the one that's not even it's like it's not even a human being sitting in there.
Oh yeah, and for me, the problem I had with Ultron was the writing, not so much the villain. I liked the villain, I was like, hey, this is really cool, but it was that script that got me, and I know
There's no story.
Yeah, it's all like setup for the next phase is what it is. It's such a true, just full on setup film that I'm just like,
yeah, I didn't care
but
about it.
And I, it's one of those things where I still gave it a decent rating, but out of the Marvel films, for sure, it was one of the weaker ones, for sure, and but if I say that, then I hate Marvel. So
no, man, I mean, you gotta look at it like this and go, like, as a movie, like, do I understand what the fuck everybody's talking about, and what does this really impact? Like, does it matter?
right. Oh yeah.
You're going like, it's so not a normal movie. Like, you can't just jump in. Like, I'm like, where am I?
Meanwhile, me, I'm getting all excited for Godzilla. It's like, oh,
well, Godzilla, you're not gonna need to know anything.
No, you don't. You go in, it's big monsters fight. I'm like, this is all. I don't need to know more than this.
No, man. The best gauge I got of stuff like that. I work with this guy. He's an older gentleman, but he loves like classic monster and comic books.
Sure,
he grew up looking at all type of Godzilla, King Kong, all that stuff.
Right.
He's old, and he also grew up reading Spider-Man and all that shit when it was new.
Oh yeah.
And so, he'll ask me. He's like, "Hey, is this movie any good?" He doesn't want to pay all the money and go out to the thing if it's not going to be.
Yeah, you can't. Don't blame him. Yeah.
No. So, when I told him that, because he went and saw Kong Skull Island before me, like he was there for that shit. And when I told him that it was like they were all getting ready to be connected, you should have seen his face. His face was like, "Man, I hope I don't get sick to where I can't go see all this." Because it was badass to him. Like, that whole concept just blew his mind.
Yeah.
He also went to see Spider-Verse after I told him. I was like, "Man, you got to see Spider-Verse."
Spider-Verse was awesome. Loved the Spider-Verse quite a bit.
Kept trying to tell people, like, don't not go see that.
Yeah.
Then you're gonna play like you did, and we're all gonna know you didn't.
Well, I mean, it goes back what you and I were talking about before, though. You get people going, "Oh man, I want something different. I want something different." Something different comes along. They go, "I'm not going to go see that," and you're like, "Wait."
And when it comes down to it, they're just gonna be Cool Ranch is their limit on everything. They're not going outside of Cool Ranch.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know about this spicy lime, dude. I'm gonna really have to ease my way into spicy lime.
That's what. Well, that's why. Though I get a kick out of it that was it critics in that they did their survey or whatever, and the film of the decade is Mad Max Fury Road.
Saw that,
and so many people were throwing a fit, like, "Oh, come on, give me a break!" And I'm just sitting here geeking out, going, "That is awesome."
What's the movie of the decade if it ain't Fury Road?
Right? Yeah. Well, a few people tried to toss out, a couple Marvel films and that, Endgame or whatever, and I'm like just sitting here going, I'm digging it because, in all honesty, when I heard they were making Mad Max Fury Road, never expected the reception it actually got from critics who I figured were going to panic because it was a genre film. It was a sequel to a really long, a long ago franchise in relative terms. And it's not the most complicated story, but so many people loved it. And I'm just sitting in my, being the genre lover I am, I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah. No, check it out, man. In 20 years, you're gonna show some kid Fury Road, and you're gonna show some kid Captain America Civil War. Fury Road's gonna rock, and Civil War are gonna be like, what in fuck is this? If he even wants to watch it, like, oh no. Like
well,
that.
Well, then, because also there's the factor that I've always stood by as the one of the things that I have with those films is they're gonna want to watch Fear, you pop in Civil War, but you're gonna have to go, who's this and who's this and who's it? Well, now we're gonna have to watch these so you can watch it.
Nah, man. To be honest, man, when I was never the biggest Mad Max guy. I looked at a like Road Warrior a lot when I was a kid, but
yeah, sure.
I just went in going like, God damn, this looks cool. I hope it's just cool. And it was so cool. And that's it. I mean, it had a lot of good social statement about it, and oh god, a lot of the women I know went crazy over it.
It's just a solid film. I'm glad, don't get me wrong. I think it totally deserves it. It's just the way things normally are well, you know how it is in the film reviewing and our culture in that. It's not a film that you would exactly peg as people of this generation and that enjoying.
It is honestly, dude, if someone was gonna ask me to put something in a time capsule from that particular period of filmmaking, that would have to be that.
Yeah.
Because it's one that you can watch without having to know anything.
Yep.
And just be like, it's got enough real ass effects to where it's somebody who, maybe comes like from the past, not necessarily from the future, would be able to like, because if like fuck, imagine somebody that like, loved Mad Max, loved Road Warrior, loved Thunderdome, they went into a fucking coma.
Yeah.
If they came out and looked at Fury Road, it wouldn't be like that would be the movie they would dig, not goddamn Infinity Wars.
Yeah.
They'd be like, all right, Captain America. I know who these people are. It's cool. So what's it about? Like,
right.
What's it about 3 hours. I don't really know what it's about. You're really gonna have to see 20 movies. I just gotta have a coma. I want to see this movie and we'll go get a pizza. I'm not trying to 3 hours.
Yeah.
Mario Puzo write this?
Mario Puzo. No, well, if he did, then then Thanos would be in a suit and up there talking about making offers to people and pay no respect to me. Which now I want to.
My daughter's wedding day. Wait, I killed her.
I still want to see a Godfather now with the Marvel characters and Thanos as the Godfather.
Oh fuck, it'll probably happen. I mean, they did make a game of Godfather, right? A video game.
Yeah, it was
close.
It was close. It was called Mafia, but no, actually there was a Godfather game as well, I think.
A Scarface game.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like, really? Oh, jeez. Yeah. I don't know. With all the CGI and stuff that we have out there now, too, it's one of those things where these films are going to feel dated. Mad Max had CGI, sure, but there was a lot of practical effects. And I'm looking at this going, some of these CGI films are going to just look dated.
Well, anything, like if you look back on the other decade past, anything that's kind of like, why did I like this? It's always movies that follows a template of other stuff.
Right.
Where it's almost like, drop in this scene, change the characters, change the dialogue, basically made by template, you know.
Hmm.
And so that's where I get fucked up on all these kind of things is because like, well, they're making they're making movies with so much computer effects. That means that everything's predetermined, you
Right.
know. So there's no room for like improvisation and spontaneity because by very nature of it, it can't be, you know.
Hmm.
So you end up with a lot of shit that just by the nature of the beast is gonna look alike and feel alike and sound alike, you know. There's just not gonna be a whole lot of sideways to it, you know. You watch, man. Fucking 20 years from now, you watch how that shit shakes out. If
Well,
anything, they'll look at Marvel Cinematic Universe like some TV show that was in theaters, you know,
oh
like a
yeah, oh
like
yeah.
a
No, I know.
like a long running franchise that was on the big screen, you know,
W-
like the fucking Dallas of movies or whatever.
We're gonna wait just a few minutes for her, and then we'll get going soon here. I
Oh,
don't
that's
want.
fine. I don't want, you know, I don't want to. I mean, I tell you what I'll do. I'll just watch a TV show while I'm talking to you, and I'll stop halfway through and just leave the podcast. Would that be rude, or
Yeah.
you guys can just finish?
Oh man. It's my kids. We talk about films and culture and that, and my boys are very excited for Pokemon Detective Pikachu.
Well, we're going. I live with two
Yeah.
Pokemaniacs.
Oh, do
I
you?
don't,
Do they play
yeah.
the Pokemon Go?
No, but my wife is
No.
big into the I mean, like, put it this way, she could like identify when we were looking at the trailer. She's like, "That's that, that's that, that's that." I'm like, "Holy shit!"
That's
I'm just
awesome.
going because it just. I honestly, whatever movie Justice Smith was in before, was it After Earth?
Yeah, I think so.
I did not see After Earth, man. So this will be my first time seeing him, and you know, growing up seeing Will Smith as a movie star, it's gonna be a trip to see his kid up there, you know, like that. Um,
Yeah,
it doesn't, you know, it's probably gonna be fine. You know, it looks exciting, right? Funny,
it
weird.
does. Yeah, it looks weird. I mean, yeah, no,
And,
I mean, I play the Pokemon Go, sort of
yeah,
game.
I got
I play.
friends that do. Yeah, I
I
know what it is.
I play that. I've been playing it more often than not before because my coworker is also into it, and I have Dawn and her husband Sheldon, they're into it. So a lot of people are into it. So I play it. I've been playing a little more than regularly, but I don't know a huge amount. But my kids know all kinds of things about it because the Pokemon craze and that was their generation, and it is more their generation. I
Sure.
mean, it was out already when they were young, so it was kind of they caught it kind of on the tail end, but it's been carried through their childhood. So this film for them is they're just excited. They're like, yeah, and I'm like, they're almost 19 and 17, and they're like, yeah, can we see? They want to go early so we get the Pokemon card that's exclusive at the showings
Oh,
that they're giving out while supplies last. So they wanted to go to
okay.
the earliest show. So we're actually going to the 5 o'clock showing tomorrow of Pokemon Detective Pikachu. And supposedly, people who have seen the press screening said that it is a decent film. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah,
Um,
I've seen some of the on Associated Press this morning. Some of those wire reviews were coming in. I don't read them, but I do look at the headlines just to see like
right.
what's it looking like for the movie. And they seem like they're digging it. So I mean, if I'll go, no, it doesn't matter. It'd have to be really dumb for us not to go. We see almost everything. We may not go to Toy Story.
Toy Story 4. That trailer is just not grabbing me.
Well, it's not just that my kids got no interest in it, and my wife did not enjoy Toy Story 3. So there's like not a whole lot of reason to go,
Yeah.
honestly. I mean, and we see everything kid movie that comes out. The only one I wouldn't see is probably like I don't like the Ice Age ones,
Oh, sure, sure.
but other than I'm not Angry Birds Part 2 was I could barely get through the trailer. Like that was really I was like, oh, but I didn't like
Mm.
Angry Birds.
Yeah.
Like I was like,
Oh,
what? It was on crack. Like what? This movie thinks I'm stupid. This movie thinks my kid's stupid.
Yeah, yeah, it wasn't the best. Oh, Justice. Okay, that's who that is. Justice Smith. That's one of Will Smith's kids. He wasn't in the After Earth though. Jaden Smith, I think,
That was
was in.
Jay. Okay, then. Okay.
Yeah, Jaden Smith was in After Earth. Justice Smith was actually in Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom.
Didn't see. That's that
Apparently,
second one, right? The second
the
Jurassic.
second Jurassic World film. Yeah, that came out.
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't see that either because I didn't like Jurassic World. I'm sounding
I
like a dick on here, man. I love most things. I'm just for some reason, man.
Jurassic World was okay for me, but at the same time, I was just like, there was a lot of parts of it that it just felt, forced. Fallen Kingdom, I liked the first chunk, especially where they actually made you feel sorry for the dinosaurs.
Who did
And
Fallen Kingdom, man? Was it that same director or no?
I think it was J.A. Bayona did it. Actually, did he do the other one? No,
I don't think
no,
he did,
no,
man.
he didn't do the other one. This one was directed a lot better than the first one.
Okay, well then maybe I
Yeah,
should check it out. I
yeah,
don't like Chris Pratt either. God,
yeah,
women so
because he, oh yeah, he's a Hispanic director, so or
yeah,
a Latinx director.
yeah, he did.
Um,
Had to have done something that I seen that I liked. Some action
well,
movie.
he directed a few. Oh, he directed a Monster Calls.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
that one was a decent film, and he's directed The Orphanage. Uh, he directed that, and
Really?
yeah,
Fucking The Orphanage is good, man.
The Orphanage is really good.
I didn't know he made that. Oh,
Yeah, The Orphanage is crazy, man.
I
People who don't watch films with subtitles are missing out on some great films.
oh, dude, don't I don't have to tell you, man. There was people that asked for their money back on some of them.
Oh
We
man.
always at the video store had to put in big, like, remember the P Touch, right?
Yeah,
Brother P
yeah,
Touch
yeah, yeah.
had to be a big ass P Touch sticker say subtitle
Oh,
because otherwise they bring that back. They don't want anything
oh,
about
I've got to read this. I've
it.
got to
It's
read
like,
this
I'm
movie.
sorry. I thought I was going to the video store, not the library.
Yeah, I'm like sitting there going, you're missing out on some great stuff. I mean, man, and even like I said, well watching the Godzilla films, and you watch the one with the one with subtitles, the acting, it just does have a bit of an impact on the how you receive the film, getting the original vocal dialogue versus the dubbed.
Yeah, it's
It,
just by nature of the two languages, you're gonna have emphasis on stuff, and even though you don't speak the language, you understand, like, emphasis.
yeah,
You understand, like, urgency. You understand, you know, like, that's humanity, and so,
right,
just by nature of it, man, in the dub, you're just, it's not gonna really come out. It can't. Like, it doesn't matter. A good actor, it doesn't matter. It's just, you know, the pace of the language is just different, so I like it when they let you at least be able to have the option of it. But yeah, the first time, like Jackie Chan movies, things like that, or a lot of these. Remember the Hong Kong martial arts, Hong Kong action boom in the '90s?
oh yeah, definitely, I remember
I
that.
I really didn't mind seeing a dubbed first, because I don't want to have to read anything because I'm trying to see everything else, you know.
The action films, yeah, are
Yeah,
it's not as bothersome on the action films, because a lot of it is just yeah, yeah, it's just a lot of you don't need to, because yeah, like you said, especially with Jackie Chan films, because Jackie Chan films, there he just puts so much work into the choreograph of the fighting. It's insane, you
yeah.
know, and he's broke like every bone in his body, and it's like,
Oh, he's
it's
the
like
man. He's
he
great,
is he's
and he's
the
a good singer too.
yeah, he's actually got a good voice too. Hello, Kara. Uh,
Hey,
how are you doing? Uh,
doing okay.
oh, good to hear. Glad you could make it. So,
Yeah.
Hi,
how
Car. Remember me? My name Andrew. I talked to you about
The Skin I
The
Live
Skin
In,
I
is it?
Live In.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mark said it was okay. Like he didn't need to separate us. Like it worked out.
It did work out. Actually, that's one of our higher downloaded episodes right now for the
No, you just
series.
say that. No.
No, it's like the third highest download in the last 3 months. So there you go.
What's the first?
Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel. Was I on Captain Marvel?
I believe you were, yes.
I love Captain Marvel.
Yes, you do.
I can't wait. They just announced the date, the Blu-ray date. I'm gonna watch it over and over again.
Yeah, the good double feature with Wonder Woman. So there you go.
I watch Wonder Woman so much. I'm not even gonna lie. I watch that movie a lot.
I not to be on a soapbox much, but I did talk to someone because I saw some criticism about the Captain Marvel character, especially in Endgame. Kara, did you see Endgame?
I don't really keep up with anything much these days, so no, I don't even know what
Okay.
it's
Sorry,
about.
I didn't see it either, so don't say nothing, Mark.
No. Okay.
Don't say
Well,
no
you
spoiler.
no, but Captain Marvel's in it, right? At least she is in it. Okay.
She's in the commercial.
She's in the commercial, so that's not a spoiler. But people were still complaining, oh, the second time we saw her and she's still stoic and unemotional and la da da. And I just turned my coworker and I said, it's sad, and this isn't me just being whatever. It's simple fact is if she was a guy, people would be saying shit about how she's performing or how she was written.
All I need to know, man. Brie Larson put a picture on her Instagram of herself geeking out because she got to meet Bikini Kill on one of their reunion shows.
Oh, really?
So yeah, so everybody else can just wipe their ass with whatever they say about her. I'm on her team.
Awesome.
Because I would do the same thing.
Yeah.
Except
Well,
I'd be dead. I would pass away if I met Bikini Kill. I wouldn't be on the podcast about the Fury.
No, you wouldn't. So we'll get things rolling here. So and welcome, my friends, once again to the spoiler room. And we are continuing our month where we're featuring people who have special telekinetic abilities, things they can do with their mind. And so last week we talked Firestarter, and this week we are talking Brian De Palma's The Fury from 1978. And with us tonight, I've got a great crew assembled again. Here he is. The lovely Andrew Shearer is with us tonight. Hello, Andrew.
Hey, man, I'm trying to open this bag of chips with my mind right now.
You go ahead, open it. That's fine.
It's bleeding. Is that good or bad?
I can't hear it, so you're good. So
I'm not on my monthly, so it should be okay.
Oh,
right?
Jesus. Well, that's good to know, Andrew. Thank you for sharing. And next to Andrew, we have returning once again to the spoiler room, the fantastic Kara. Hello, Kara. How are you?
Doing all right.
Well, I'm all right. Well, I'm glad you could join us to discuss The Fury. It's an older film, but I think people may be a little bit surprised about this movie. So, Andrew, why don't you give the synopsis of The Fury?
Oh man! All right, so Dr. Richard Kimball teams up with Carrie to fight the Omen. And that's The Fury.
Wow.
And if y'all know who Dr. Richard Kimball is, that was The Fugitive.
Yes, the original, not the Harrison Ford one.
Your fugitive's name is Kirk freaking Spartacus Douglas.
That's right. Kirk Douglas is in here along with the lovely and talented Amy Irving is in here as well, who plays a young lady who has psychic abilities as well. And this was my first viewing of The Fury. I'm going to fully admit, and I don't know why up until now I have not watched it, because of the people that are in it is amazing. And I am a sucker for De Palma. So for me, this is the first time I watched it, and I was impressed. This is a film that I think many people might find interesting. Andrew, do you remember when you first saw it?
Yeah, I went through, when I first got my first video store job out of high school, I went through the directors, right, and try to watch all their movies and stuff. So I went through it with De Palma because I had only seen like Carrie, and then like whenever we start like the Untouchables, Raising Cain, Carlito, like that. So I went back, right, and I think I saw Sisters in Phantom of the Paradise, then Obsessed. I got around to the Fury, and I did not know anything about the ending of the movie. I didn't. Nobody told me. I didn't know it was gonna be. It looked like it was gonna be horror, but then I started watching. I'm like, this ain't no horror movie. But then later, I'm like, this. Oh, they just waited till So I just remember being really like tripped up by the structure and like how they mess with genres so much, because some of it's hilarious. So I just remember it being like pretty much out of all the stuff I watched of his, feeling like it was in a way kind of the most fascinating, but also like I couldn't figure out why he even did it. Because like what I'm saying, like it's not bad, but I really couldn't make up my mind. I'm like, because anyway, we'll talk about it, I'm sure.
Yeah, sure.
So I hope that made any kind of sense. Holy shit.
It did.
Okay.
And Kara, how about you? Remember when you first saw The Fury and what you thought of it?
First time I saw it was like 11 years ago. I was probably in my mid 20s or so, and I just thought the movie was boring and I hated it. And this second watching, I actually enjoyed it a lot more. The story still doesn't feel very concise. Like it feels a little bit hard to follow here and there, but it was at least a little bit more enjoyable to watch.
Well, I'm glad you came on the show, even though you found that it wasn't that enjoyable. So I appreciate you doing this. So, yeah, you are right, Andrew, about the structure. I think the first thing that caught me off guard while watching this was this opening that we get set in the Middle East, and it's we're already into it. Suddenly his kid somehow, we know, has some kind of special power, but we don't know what. And then there's this whole terrorist action scene going on, and it just boggled my mind a bit. Though, unfortunately, it is still probably a little bit relevant today. It might impact some audience members today, but it threw me that we jumped to this, then to a young woman on the beach talking, who's being stalked by some creepy guy, and then we're back. I mean, this thing really jumps around. Kara, what'd you think of how this story kind of jumps back and forth, and does it leave you kind of wondering just how these two stories are going to end up connecting when you're watching most of it?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of feels like two separate movies at first, and it's kind of like, well, I guess it's a 2-for-1. I paid for one show and I got two, and then it winds up doing this other thing, and it's like, okay.
It takes a turn you don't expect, because you got the Middle East terrorism scene, and then we jump to, is she in high school, I think, or college? She's at a girls' school. I don't remember if they didn't really specify. I think it was like meant to be a high school. And then we jump to Kirk Douglas, and you're just like, wait, what? So, Andrew, how about you? The way this story plays out, you mentioned the structure. Does it take you aback a bit? Does it feel like kind of two different movies for most of the film?
Oh yeah, like the parts where she's in school, I'm like, hey, this is like Carrie, and she's from Carrie, and so those parts you're just like, all right, but didn't he just make Carrie like right before this? So it's like I'm trying to piece it, what I'm saying? You try to piece together, and you're going like, all right, well, Carrie wasn't I don't think it was a hit when it came out, was it? I don't know. I feel like maybe this was his big studio movie, like the first real, like real money type of movie. And so I'm sure they went like, well, you gotta have a Kirk Douglas. You can't have it be about a girl this time, because nobody goes go see that. So they probably, what they did was they had to like rejigger the movie to be about him. You know what I'm saying? Because so like Kirk Douglas, and like, all right, well, we came to see Kirk Douglas, so give us Kirk. And Kirk is like, I'm gonna find a gun somewhere. Here it is. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it is so his movie when it's those scenes. It's just not even the same movie just about. Am I wrong about that? Like, because it's rad when she's making that girl. You could tell they hid the blood, the the blood tubes in those
It-
giant glasses, you know, to make the nosebleed.
Yeah.
But like, didn't it feel though like almost two different movies like that?
It did, yeah. I was fascinated. I wanted to see the story about her.
Yeah.
Cara, do you know, was Carrie a big hit when it first came out? Do you remember?
I half want to say it is.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, just kind of like the whole Carrie comment. I did. I was like rewatching the movie, and I was kind of thinking it's kind of like a cross between Carrie and Firestarter or something, because you have like that whole government thing going on.
That's like a perfect description of it. Way better than whatever the hell I did at the beginning of this podcast.
Yeah,
Am
that's
I thinking about The Fugitive? What the fuck was that?
you actually, yeah, you're right. This does fall in line a bit with what we saw in the Firestarter, the whole government agency and doing brain, telekinesis experiments and such, and looking for them be a weapon. And it feels a bit like that. Her story does, and I really did like Amy Irving's character, Jillian, and I almost wish the whole story was. I know we had Carrie, but I wanted to almost see it about her story. I found it fascinating. I don't know, Cara, how'd you think about the Jillian storyline in this?
I totally forgot who Jillian was.
She's the main girl. She was the main girl that.
I kind of like how they really played up kind of like the whole sweet and naive girl next door, but it kind of like the Carrie thing again. Like she's special. Watch out.
Right. She did seem to have a bit of a dark side to her that she kind of let creep out occasionally, either accidentally or maybe not so accidentally.
Mm-hmm.
Which I thought Amy Irving played very well, that balance of her kind of scared of the person that's actually inside her. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to see the film almost completely about her and not even have to worry about Kirk Douglas and his son, though that's where definitely the horror element comes in later on when we finally do see his son, who's been held up by this government experiments for years. Andrew, I know your answer, but did you find the Jillian storyline a little more fascinating and just want the movie be about her, even if it was going to be similar to Carrie?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always gonna go on the side of, I don't care about dudes and their problems, but I would be surprised because I think this was based on a book, right?
Right. The author wrote the screenplay as well.
So probably what they did was they're like, all right, I would bet you his book was more about her. Mm-hmm. I would put money that the book was more like Carrie, and they probably said it can't be just like Carrie because what you gonna do with Kirk?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, you want me to see what I'll do with Kirk? We'll make James Bond this shit right here. I'm gonna make this work. It's my book. Okay.
Well, what's funny about Kirk Douglas being in it, because we get the opening terrorism scene and he's in there and he's fighting the bad guys and he gets on that boat initially and it blows up and I'm like, oh, okay, so this is going to be one of those where he has top billing and he's in the film for 10 minutes.
Oh.
But nope, he shows up later being the crazy guy and being pursued by the government, and he's so close in tracking down his son who's been kidnapped by the government for being used as a weapon because Russia doesn't have one and China doesn't have one. Man, that was so Cold War dialogue that you had in here. But what did surprise me, and you mentioned it earlier, was the humor in here. That's kind of De Palma's thing, though, isn't it, Andrew, with having a bit of mixture of humor and then really hitting you with some intense or tension-filled moments?
Well, De Palma is just a stand for Hitchcock, I mean, everybody knows that. That's actually his biggest detractors, just call him like a Hitchcock ripoff or whatever. Mm-hmm. And it, I mean, he doesn't have the same type of reputation critically as his homies did. Like, remember, he came up with like Lucas, Spielberg, Scorsese, Coppola. Like, out of all of them, you got to admit, he's probably the least respected filmmaker of them. you know.
He's that kind of. I always felt with De Palma, he was that known name, but he's kind of like the kid in the corner.
Yeah.
Sort of
So I mean,
thing.
like, he's obviously interested in like paranoia type shit, conspiracy type shit, you know. But that stuff Hitchcock was doing. Like Hitchcock was like the precursor to like the Bourne Identity and all of that stuff, right? So he's gonna have that. But you think about like, oh, what was the one that's so fun? North by Northwest. How funny Cary Grant is and all that. And there's these moments that offset that intensity. That's just like goofy, right?
Yeah.
And so Kirk, he can't do a whole lot of shit. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry, but he can be dashing and he could be charming and he could kick some ass. But that's about it, you know, if you think about it.
He plays Kirk.
Yeah.
Kirk.
And so, you know, when he comes in, I know what we're talking about, when he comes in those people's house while he disguises himself or whatever.
Oh my Lord. Yeah.
Well, that's a trip, that part.
Well, and that part though for sure is not so much him, but the supporting cast that he has is the one that brings all the comedy for that scene in the apartment. Cara, what'd you think of the humor in this film? The kind of mixture between humor and tension-filled moments.
I mean, they kind of seem to flow pretty seamless. Like in some moments, they're just kind of so subtle to where you just kind of relax a little bit. It's not like, oh, haha. But I think they just seem to work out fairly well.
Yeah, I think so too. Especially the apartment scene. I really loved the Mother Knuckles character, played by Eleanor Miriam. But you also get a kind of famous comedian in there from WKRP, Gordon Jump. Is in there.
I knew I recognized him, man.
Yeah, that was Gordon Jump who was in there playing Knuckles, and his mother. That whole scene was just hilarious. But it's not Douglas who brings the humor. It's really these supporting cast. They're just rolling with it, and it's directed so well. And then right after that, we get the scene where he is being pursued by the government guys who've been waiting forever, being pursued by the one-armed man. In fact.
Oh, that's right. It's gonna work, isn't it?
It is gonna work. There's your fugitive.
Fucking A. Thanks, Mark.
You're welcome, man. You're welcome. With the villain Childress, played by John Cassavetes. But then you get some more humor in here with a very young Dennis Franz as one of the cops that Kirk Douglas's character kidnaps into the fog. You know, I dug this whole car scene quite a bit. I thought it was really well directed. Cara, what'd you feel about this car scene that they did with the cat and mouse that he played with in the construction site?
Gosh, I'm totally drawing a blank.
Oh no, that's quite all right. It's okay.
It's probably because it seems like it's out of a whole other damn movie. You know,
right.
Like if we were to go pick this movie up based on the poster, which shows the shadows of Robin and Gillian, you would be like, I got the wrong tape. Like somebody cut up this goofy ass Kirk Douglas movie into this horror movie I'm trying to watch.
Most of it does feel a bit more like just a straight up action type thriller than an actual thriller horror film until you get to this third act.
Yeah.
Because we got Kirk Douglas's character. He finally meets up with Jillian and gets her out of the Paragon Institute, where we've seen Jillian's powers grow as she's being kind of groomed by a creepy Charles Durning, who surprised me. He was in here too. I'm like, holy crap. Aren't you eating some frog legs? But here's a deep cut. Sorry.
No, I appreciate that. Any reference to that, any Muppets, anything. Thank you.
So you get the Paragon Institute, you know, you get to learn her abilities. And then once he meets up with her, you get this third act where he goes and finally meets her son. And this is where the horror comes in, because this really is where it turns around to be a different movie with the Robin character. Uh, Carl, what'd you think about the third act and how this really does then live up to the horror film aspect and the Robin character as I guess he becomes the villain?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that. I mean, to me, it was just kind of left field. Like, who's this guy all of a sudden? And he's nuts.
Yeah, he's nuts, and they do allude that it was the experimentation that kind of made him that way. But this is not what you expected from 2/3 of the film, where Kirk Douglas's guy Peter is on that heroic search to find his son, and
Yeah.
you turn out his son is batshit psycho.
Yeah, I mean, in comparison to that, the movie's pretty easygoing. So it's kind of like you go from a 3 to an 11 all of a sudden.
Right. Yeah. It suddenly just takes this left turn, and you're just like, okay, here's what we were expecting. And holy shit, he's doing a lot of stuff, including finding some Middle Eastern gentlemen and killing them on an amusement ride. Andrew, what'd you think of this horror just 90-degree turn and
Yeah,
the Robin character?
I mean, Carr is right, man. It's just like, who is this guy? Because the movie leaves Robin from being in the opening scene and then being talked about so much and being like the movie forgets about him for a long ass time. And you don't get to see what made him like this. You don't even really get to see what the fuck the Paragon place does, like, at all. You know, they're like, oh, here they're playing the Ghostbuster cards over here. You know, like, that's about it. And there's a dartboard, and then we're gonna eat ice cream. Like, they don't have details about what goes on in there. So there's no, yeah, he seems all of a sudden like to be a jealous. I mean, they've got this doctor that he's got some sort of relationship with, and he's super paranoid and just, you know, for a guy you forgot about. Like, I don't remember him being this big of a dick. Why does he want to find this kid? He should be like, I don't have a son named Robin. Fucking, man. And I've heard of Robin, but I heard he's an asshole. I don't want to come catch him or nothing. You know. So, and then she'd be like, you call me his twin? What kind of asshole you think I am? I thought we were homies.
It does have that real tragic turn to it, because you're like, oh yeah, he's gonna find his kid. He found out where he is. She's gonna help him. She's gonna get all like Carrie on the bad guys, and then you find out, wait, you don't want to find your son, dude. You should stop now.
No. And how scary is that, him floating up there in the ceiling? That was like some Salem's Lot type of shit.
Oh God, yeah. Well, that whole scene at the end where he's getting angry, and Peter and Jillian show up at the actual hideout where the government agency's been keeping him.
Has he killed that lady first or no?
He does that when they arrive.
That scene is so fucked up, man. Think about it. Like, this is when De Palma first started having people call him misogynist, was this movie.
Mm-hmm.
What y'all would think about the way that I'm sorry, is this like breaking it up wrong to go off on this tangent?
No, go ahead. Go right
Don't
ahead.
it seem like the women got it worse than the men in terms of the violence? Like, up till that very end, that last kill, doesn't it seem like the women got way worse? Or am I just like totally like forgetting about something?
No, I actually, now that you pointed out, Cara, what would you say about that? Would you say that the female characters in here got it worse than the male characters who die?
I would definitely say at least that final scene, especially when the woman's up in the air and spinning around. I'm like, that definitely does look painful. That's pretty much the only one that just sticks in my mind as far as the kill scenes.
Well, because, like, remember when she grabbed Charles Durning hand and it started to bleed,
Mm.
But then that other lady, right, just started like blood gush out of her eyes and shit. I mean, I just maybe I had it on my mind. I don't know, but it was so excessive, man. I felt what he did to that lady, like her suffering versus, it's almost like blowing up is getting off lighter.
Which we do get a blow up, which was a complete surprise. But now that you mention it, Andrew, yeah, because the two on-screen female kills that we get, the one, she just bleeds out all over from Jillian's ability reading the memories, and she just viciously bleeds out, whereas Charles Durning's character gets a burn on the hand. And then at the end, yeah, and then when Kirk Douglas is taking out the guys who are following him, those guys get shot fairly quickly, and the other guys drive off an edge and blow up off screen.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
they
you
don't-
could see how though, like once Dressed to Kill is out, and they flip out about all the shit that he does in that, then they go back to look at The Fury, and then they see that, you know. I mean, I can kind of see how they would have a leg to stand on. Thinking about him.
They do have kind of an argument for it, yeah, because then you get to the doctor who gets put in the air and just gets murdered from Robin's outrage, and he's spinning her and blood
She
flying
suffers like
everywhere.
greatly.
I mean, yeah, she really suffers versus any of the other guys who die in here. They just die toot sweet, actually.
But
taking
also, remember when Kirk is in there? We're not even using his character name.
Peter, yeah,
He's looking around for his son, and he sees her dead body. Remember, her eyes are all open, look like an Argento movie.
yeah, it is like an Argento shot, and that actually is what was foreshadowed earlier in the film, but you don't realize it because Jillian had that image of her way at the beginning of the film, but you kind of forget that. Then all of a sudden you're like, oh crap, okay, that's where that
That was
ended up
scary to
showing.
me. That was to me scary.
That face and the way she was just, yeah, that was brutal. And it's, you've seen that murder, and when he came in, you had the Robin character floating above his dad,
So scary to me.
which was really creepy because again, you're expecting to have this kind of Robin character that you had in the beginning of the film, which was, hey dad, yes, hey, no, I want to stick with you, dad. I don't want to go to the States and be part of the university. I want to stay with you. Yay. And now he's like, fuck you all, I'm going to kill you all because I want to.
He's like, Dad, I didn't want to go to college. I wanted to surf, you asshole.
Yeah. If only they would have let him surf.
I wanted to ride my machine without being hassled by the man.
Yeah.
You know, it's just really wild that it takes this turn, and then we even get this odder. I understand kind of the motivation, but this ending before the final blow up ending, which we'll talk about, but this ending with the dad and son and how this actually plays out, it breaks the expectation, but it was also, you've gone through this whole film, you feel. I felt kind of disappointed the way this played out. Kara, how'd you feel about this ending with Robin attacking his dad, and then you get that final scene where the kid dies, and then dad throws himself off the roof? I mean, how do you feel about it ending like that? Since we've been with Kirk Douglas's character Peter this whole time.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of feels abrupt, but it's also a total letdown. Kind of like I don't know. I like the comparison of like when you stretch out the mouth of a balloon and you let the air squeak out.
That's perfect.
Yeah, that is actually a perfect comparison because I felt cheated. I felt
Yeah.
I felt disappointed because I'm just like, okay, no, I understand his kid slipped and he fell and his kid died. Okay, I get that because they were fighting. The dad wasn't expecting that. And then you're watching it going, okay, and then Jillian's down at the bottom and she's holding Robin because these two have been connected. You realize these two have been connected psychically, and you're like, oh. And all of a sudden, Kirk Douglas's Peter character just goes, fuck it. Boom. I'm like, wait, what? And it's so abrupt. I almost tried to figure out what happened. I'm like, wait, did he get knocked off? No, he jumped. What the hell? Andrew, what do you think of this section? I mean, I think I'd love to get your filmmaker opinion, because with the way the storytelling is, we've been with Peter for so long, and then we just have this happen.
Well, number one, man, I promise you, when this played in theaters, everybody laughed. Kirk Douglas throwing himself off that roof.
Oh.
You know, people laugh. Me as a filmmaker, this is how the movie would have went. Jillian is all at school trying to hide the fact that she's got powers or whatever. Robin gets kidnapped. Peter uses her to help find him. So there'd be way more William Finley, the guy who was in the phone booth. That's the
Yeah.
guy from Phantom of the Paradise, one of my favorite movies of all time. If anybody listening to this loves Rocky Horror Picture Show and haven't seen Phantom of the Paradise, pause this, go watch that, then come back. I'm sorry. So yeah, they would find Robin together. Dad and Robin would die, and then it would go through the confrontation with Gillian and
Right.
Cassavetes. That's how it would go.
And that's how it
Or
kinda-
let Dad just blow up at the beginning. I don't give a fuck, you know.
it kind of goes like this, but I was kind of expecting more of dad and son trying to break out fighting together until you find out son is just completely psycho killer, and then you're just like,
Yeah, Robin had to die. He was such a piece of shit, and poor Kirk, he just had fought so hard for nothing. Like it's not that it's out of character for him to do, because he's just like, oh man, I've fucking AARP ran out, left my Dentsu grip at the house. Man, my Depends have been shot since yesterday. This is it. Put a fork in me, man. My son's a dick. Everybody knows it. I'm gonna have to, fuck it. I get why he did that, but yeah, no. In terms of filmmaking, I have to say, man, the parts that work great. The De Palma parts, if you're a fan of his, you're gonna get some great camera stuff, some really experimental shit. I'm thinking about when she sees what happened in the house, right? When she's going to Robin's room, the way that thing happens, right? When it pans around the stairs while she's standing there.
Yeah, because they do pretty much a 360 type camera movement, or almost, and she's watching him as he goes past her and up the stairs and gets pushed out. That whole sequence is crazy.
That's like some out of X-Men type of shit. That's so right, like something Shadowcat would do or something. So those parts are cool, but it's just it's a mess of a script, I would have to say, and whatever.
Well, is this because maybe the author of the novel is the one who wrote the screenplay?
Well, but he's working off of a man. Look up. This had to have been De Palma's most expensive movie that he ever got to do.
I think so. Well, because the cast alone, especially for back then, who he had in it, had to have been just pricey for
So on something like this, you're not calling the shots as an auteur, They're like saying, oh, Kirk has to come up every few minutes, whatever, what it's got to be. So they were just trying to write a movie star's vehicle in a movie that clearly was not about a man, but they did it anyways.
I half thought you were going to say in a vehicle that was not a Mercedes.
Oh, right. That would have been funnier, actually. You could cut that together or make it
sure. There you go. We make it sound funny. Yeah, and you mentioned the camera work, and I don't know exactly what it is, but there's something about De Palma's style, the way he has his cinematographer handle the camera. You're watching it, you're watching a De Palma film, but I can't quite put my finger on it. Is like a fisheye type thing or so. It seems like the way things are framed. I mean, do you guys know what I'm kind of referring to? I mean, you watch a De Palma, it just seems like the camera work definitely is a signature, but I can't quite tell what it is about that really identifies it as De Palma. Maybe it's the camera movement or how he frames the people. Andrew, do you know what I'm referring to maybe on this? Because like I'm thinking of like Raising Cain, where you had the camera moving on angles whenever he was talking to the different personalities, and that they'd kind of not be level.
Yeah, well, I mean, his background, man, is very technical. Like before he was making like his own movies and stuff. This is what I know about him from that Netflix documentary, So you take that for what it's worth. But like he started out being, a shooter and an editor, so he was like a big nerd for camera and all of that stuff. So in that regard, he's all about trying trying to put information in the scene for you in a way that you're not used to seeing, whereas like he's giving you information here and here. That's why you get a lot of that split screen he's famous for, the split diopter that he's famous for, and that awesome, I would have to guess, his rear projection that he did with Amy Irving, to where, you know, it's kind of like when they're in the car and you know that there was just something projected on the back. It's kind of the same technique with her on the stairs. You know, they probably shot that stuff of, you know, of Robin earlier and just projected it behind her, and she's all, oh, you know. But it definitely has like an almost an ethereal, like a dreamlike quality, you know, and it's a little soft in places and stuff. So that's about if that helps you or anything. But
Cara, what about you? What would you say is kind of a signature De Palma thing, and do you see that in the Fury for his visuals in that?
I'm not too familiar with De Palma, like other than Carrie and Sisters.
Sure.
I want to say he's really heavy on the red.
Oh yeah. Oh, Sisters is so good, man. We should talk about Sisters.
I love that one.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen Sisters. Now I feel like I'm missing out. I better go watch that now.
You'll like it, man. You'll like it.
It's what would you say? Kind of like an American Giallo-esque type film.
Oh yeah, man. And it's Margot Kidder and Jennifer Salt.
Oh well, then I'll definitely watch it.
It's got a feel of some of that early Cronenberg-ish. Like, dude, you'll love it, man. You'll love it.
I'll have to move that up on my list of things to watch while I'm watching things in between Godzilla films. I guess with this film, and we'll kind of wrap it up because it's, in all honesty, not the deepest of films. It's pretty straightforward. But would you say, though, even though I know you know it's rough in spots in that, as far as effects work and some of the themes in that, Cara, would you say that this film still holds today, though? Did this film age well, or would you say that it seems pretty dated?
I think it does pretty well. I mean, the practical effects are still fairly convincing. I don't really see anything that's either too plasticky or maybe too heavy on the latex where I'm like, oh, that looks cheesy, haha. I think it's I think they did a fair job at it, to where it holds for people who are used to seeing practical effects, and if you haven't, then it's kind of like, oh, that's cool, I've never seen that before.
Yeah, the bleeding eyes and fingernails I thought were a particularly nice touch, especially the fingernail bleeding. I'm like, wow, that looks pretty real, actually.
Yeah, it's pretty close. I'm pretty sure they did kind of like the whole hose under the applicable nail trick or something.
Right. It's still effective.
Yeah, I thought it was well done.
And then, of course, we have Exploding Man at the end, because we get Robin and Kirk dead, and we have Jillian, and we have our bad guy very unconvincingly trying to gaslight her and saying, oh, you know, Peter dropped his kid in that. And she's just like, yeah, you're full of shit. Let me give you the kiss of blindness. And then he blows up. And I did love this ending, and I wanted to see another movie with her being all evil, because she really brought it in that final scene. Andrew, what about you? You think this film holds up, at least visually, and not seem too dated?
I mean, you think about around that time, there was a lot of like movies with telekinesis, like what was the fucking one with Richard Burton? The Medusa Touch, right?
Oh, yeah.
And The Power, Patrick, that Australian one about the guy in the coma or whatever.
Yep.
Oh shit. Or even like The Initiation of Sarah, the one where it's at the
oh, I like that one.
Right. And y'all talked about Firestarter. Some of the 80, like even like Scanners, or Zapped with Scott Baio.
That one's fun though.
Right, it is, man. And so, you know, you think in terms of like telekinesis movies, which is what the theme that we're on or whatever, you can't skip over the Fury, because when the parts that it does have about that are excellent. I do think the effects are great. This was Dick Smith's designs, and Rick Baker was actually the effects person. That pulsating forehead shit that they do,
Mhm.
you know, if he'd have had the money and Carrie, her head would have done that. You know, he would have.
Yeah.
And as far as if you were a misogynist, exploding John Cassavetes would be the ultimate act, or one of the most ultimate acts you could do, because you know Cassavetes acted in movies to bankroll some like of the best, what I would consider early feminist movies.
Right.
A Woman Under the Influence, right, with Gina Rowlands. That's a fucking amazing movie about a woman, you know. And so, but as far as, let's just lay it out here, best exploding people in movie history, The Fury is in top 5, if not number 2 or 3. Like, you tell me what's your favorite exploding people? What, like Monty Python, right?
There's Monty Python, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm talking about ones that's on screen.
Right, that's on screen, yeah. So there's that
Monty
one.
Python, what else is there?
Oh, there's exploding guy in Big Trouble in Little China.
You don't see him really blow up. You see
that's true. He kind of finally blows up off screen. That's true.
Actually, you don't see Creosote blow up either, is it? Don't you just see the shit going on?
Yeah, you don't see Creosote completely blow up, no. So
Kara, come on, man, horror fan, tell me, is the Fury the best exploding person? Maybe.
Well, aside from like that one scanner scene, I'd say
that's just a head.
It's pretty good.
Only
Yeah.
head. I'm talking about whole body. Whole body.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, other than that, I've never seen an entire body just burst. Like even Total Recall couldn't do it. Like when they got thrown out of the compound and their eyes started bulging and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, we're on a podcast. We can digress. Let's think about this now.
I'm trying to think.
And we can't. I'm not. You
screen.
can't have CGI stuff. Not when Rambo throws a grenade and then they digitally explode him. I'm talking about like real ass, turnip greens in a plastic bag with a stick of dynamite type exploding people. This is maybe the best, right? Maybe.
It probably, I would say, yeah, because where you do have some exploding full-on people, usually it's in a comedy.
Or like RoboCop, where he hits him right in the car and he kind of comes apart.
Yeah,
but that's not explosion.
It's not exploding inside, though. No, but that is close because the guy just becomes a smear on a car. I love that one.
They fucking, in The Fury, man. Think about how he goes. Cassavetes like knocks that lamp, right?
Yeah.
Because me and my dad used to slow motion all the special effects shit like this. So we wore out the slow-mo button on the VCR from The Fury. We watch it, and the edit where the dummy body goes in is in the same shot of him quivering and shit. He knocks the lamp over so your eyes go to the lamp. That's where they cut to the dummy. It's fucking amazing, man. Amazing. But when they blew that shit up, they had so many different cameras on it. There was like one in the ceiling which catches his head and his face flying up, and it looks good, don't it? It doesn't look like a bunch of clothes, or whatever. It looks good. And then but they shot it twice, and it took them a whole week to reset.
Holy crap. Because
they didn't think to put protection on the camera. So when it first blew up, all it did was get blood on the camera. It didn't see nothing. So they had to redo it. It's amazing, right?
Oh, man.
Unless Kara has an objection, man, I'm going to go ahead and say that The Fury, for no other reason, in horror history, best exploding body.
You know what?
There's an objection.
I don't think there's an objection. I'm not sure Kara has one, but yeah, because you don't actually see them that often on full-on camera like that, fully exploding.
No. It's not the whole body.
No.
If we're talking exploding heads, yes, Scanners wins. Yes, Scanners wins. You know how they did that? PS in Scanners. Kara, you know how they did that? Do y'all know how they did this? The exploding head in Scanners is like one of the best.
Yeah, we're
we're
actually talking Scanners end of the month. So
okay, well I'll drop this in there if nobody minds.
Go ahead.
The guy, them doing the effects, they fill that head up with all type of hamburgers and I don't know what type of, just a bunch of bullshit. Everyone had to leave the set. The special effects guy sits under it with a shotgun and for real blew that head with his shotgun, man. That's why it's so good, because it was
Wow.
illegal.
That's kind of like how they did what was it, that opening scene in Maniac where Tom Savini, who was credited as Disco Boy,
Oh
his
yeah.
head gets blown off. Yeah.
Oh man, that's in the top ones too, but he was facing away, wasn't he? Or maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, he was facing away in that one.
Maniac's one of the best. Oh, what a gross. Yeah, that's right. He blows his own head. That was in
Yeah, but it was
Scream
like,
Rates.
yeah,
Oh, you're right. Well, anyway, still, that's not a whole body.
an actor who
Weird.
shot himself in the head and lived.
Savini. Oh God, that motherfucker. That was my dad's hero, was Savini, by the way, for the record. Anyway, so we're just gonna say it. People, if you want to see the best exploding body practical effect in film history, we're going with The Fury.
Yeah, and I think people forget about it, because you see compilations and that of people blowing up, or
Oh,
hot heads or bodies, and
I actually don't know if I could sit through that. Like one after another. I think that would fuck me.
They do it with action sequences. They do, a fan made music video with movie clips, and you always get the scanners. You get the one with the basketball into the head. But
and Deadly Friend.
Yeah,
That's one of the best.
yeah.
I derailed this whole shit. I'm sorry.
No,
It's fun.
it is fun and trying
Deadly
to think.
Friend, man, that shit. Did you know your head didn't have a skull in it? It's nothing but a Hershey's chocolate shell with raspberry inside.
It's still so great to watch.
We need to do a podcast about the best exploding heads.
I will I will see what I can do about putting one together. Best exploding practical effects, yeah. But I think people forget about the Fury, but it is impressive the way they shoot it, because it's, as you mentioned, a lot of films, even if you do have an exploding part or whatnot, usually they cut away fairly quickly or whatnot, so you can't tell the contraptions or whatever was used with it. But this one, it's in slow-mo. It's from 4 different camera angles. You get that wicked shot from above where you see his head spinning.
Mm-hmm. He blows up like 6 times, right?
He does. It's like, man, and that caught me. I'm like, because I had not seen it before, and I'm watching it, and she gives him the kiss of blindness, and he's blind, and he's starting to bleed, and I'm like, oh, okay, all right, so he's gonna die, okay, and then she gets all like psycho look, which is just scary as hell, and I'm like, yeah. All right, now what are we doing? And I'm waiting. Okay, so she's gonna pop his head, right? And then his whole body blew up, and I'm like, oh.
And then end credits. There ain't shit after that explosion.
There's nothing. That's how the movie ends, and you're just like,
mic drop.
it's like, wow, okay, well that made the trip almost worth it. So, it's, and I think we'll wrap it up tonight with kind of our final thought with the Fury. For me, it wasn't horrible. It was definitely different, and I do like De Palma's style, but it is an odd film, I think. And if you like De Palma in that, I would say you could watch it. But if you're expecting just a kind of a straight up type of horror film, I think you're going to be kind of disappointed, or at least just fast forward to the last act of the movie. But I'm not sure if I could recommend it outside of those who maybe are looking for unusual 70s horror films, or a De Palma fan. What about you, Kara? Who would you recommend it to, and kind of your final thought with this film?
I would say pretty much like anybody who's into like the whole telekinesis, pyrokinesis, or just clairsentient, whatever. Especially because, in my opinion, Fury is like one of those films. It's not really in heavy rotation. I haven't met too many people that have watched it. So I think if that's like your genre, it'd probably be a real treat.
Agreed. Yeah, especially if you enjoy this type of film. Andrew, how about you? Your final thought with this?
Other than just going on YouTube and watching that explosion, which I imagine it's there. If you wanted to get into De Palma, Sisters, Phantom of the Paradise, and Carrie. That's where it is for me. Those 3. And then I mean, if you wanted to do 80s, I would say Dress to Kill, Blowout, and Scarface. But
I like Dress
this
to
is
Kill.
yeah, right. That's got some that elevator, man. Holy shit. Anyway, but those three in the 70s, Sisters, Phantom, and Carrie, that's it for me. Fury is just unfortunately just in this middle. I would don't know what to do with it. You know,
Mhm.
I just can't. Yeah, it's yeah. Her.
It's not one. I think after you watch it once, especially if you're a De Palma fan, you haven't seen it, you watch it, awesome. But after that, it's not really one I would see myself revisiting. I didn't dislike it by any means. You know, I was entertained while I was watching it, but at the end, yeah, it was just I'm sitting there going,
Yeah, and in
okay.
the filmography, it feels redundant after Carrie too. And I don't think it's one of De Palma's favorites, to be honest. I feel like I've read that somewhere.
I wouldn't be surprised the way it is, the way
Mhm.
it plays out. It feels like you said, maybe he did it so he could make another movie, kind of the Tim Burton approach. People complain,
Yeah.
"Oh, Tim Burton makes all these films." I'm like, don't you realize he makes the big Hollywood film so he can follow it up with the indie film he wants to make.
Hey, you seen the movie he made after this, Home Movies?
Oh,
It's like nothing like any of that. Like
right.
read about that actually. I forgot all about that. He made home movies between this and Dress to Kill, didn't he?
Uh,
Shit. I wonder if you can find home movies.
I'm not
Oh, I
Sorry.
was half thinking the found footage film, and then I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure I'm wrong.
Oh man, no, home movies is so cool. Anyway, I just fucked up your whole flow there. I'm sorry,
Oh,
man.
that's quite all right, man. It's okay. We would usually play it loose. So yeah. Oh, with Nancy Allen was in Home Movies and Kirk Douglas again.
Yeah, it's cool. No, read about what it's like, why he made it and shit. I mean, it like was
Yeah, I'll
gonna
have
be like a student of him helping film students like make a movie. Ended up making one of his. I mean, it's cool. Like it's good.
cool. I'll have to seek that out. See if I can find it somewhere. Maybe.
Fuck, I forgot all about that.
'Cause- so, yeah, it's definitely a unique film, The Fury is, but on the whole, yeah, I think you could watch it once, and then move on. Yeah, because you had Carrie before this, which is so good. I so love Carrie, quite a bit, and yeah. So there you have it, folks. And I'm surprised you guys have mentioned. I don't know what your guys' feeling on, and since we're off the rails a bit, anyway, I personally like Raising Cain quite a bit.
Oh yeah,
You like that one, Kara, with John Lithgow?
yeah. That's a good one. I kind of like how they just subtly touched on how like they broke his mind down just because they were studying other things. So the poor kid was a guinea pig.
Right. Andrew, what about you with Raising Cain? Do you remember it?
I went to see that when it came out. Yeah, I remember digging Raising Cain. I remember thinking it was also a little oddly done the way that
Hmm.
the way they had the order of things. There was something about it that was a little funky, but I love Carlito's Way. Like that's a cool ass movie. And you know what, man? I like Mission to Mars.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Remember, because Red Planet was out at the same time, and everybody was all like Red Planet, and I don't think anybody went to either one. But I thought Mission to Mars actually is okay. And
I enjoyed Snake Eyes too.
Snake Eye, yeah, there was something weird about Snake. It didn't have a really bad CG something in it though.
It does. It does have a really bad CG thing, but it's Nicolas Cage getting to be Crazy Cage. So
Okay, yeah,
you
Rage
know,
Cage, yeah, full,
I,
yeah,
I love Crazy Cage.
yeah.
He makes the Wicker Man remake entertaining. So
Did you see? God, there was one that had Rachel McAdams and Noomi Rapace. Was like one of the last ones he did, and it was supposed to be like a return to his stuff, except for with
you
CGI.
talking about the Black Dahlia? Oh no, Femme
No, I
Fatale.
saw Femme Fatale. Which one was there was one with Rebecca Romaine and Antonio Banderas.
Yeah, that's Femme Fatale.
Okay, I'm talking about the one with. There was one he did with. Who did I say it was? Fuck, I just Rachel McAdams and Noomi Rapace. They were. I don't know. I didn't see it. I
Would
mean,
that
watch some of
be
those
the
older.
that the Black Dahlia one?
Nah, I saw Black Dahlia in theaters that they weren't in that. This is more like his old. I'm fucking this up, man. Let's not
No,
worry
it's
about it.
okay. It's all right.
I need to do my own research.
Now I'm curious. So you've got me.
Anyway, what I'm saying is, I think later in his career, he did at least one or two like return to classic, what would be his older style De Palma, and I would be interested in those.
The one you're thinking of is called Passion from 2012.
Passion. Was I at least right about who was in it? I'm thinking about the poster.
Yeah, that's the one that's got Rachel McAdams and Noomi Rapace in it, and yeah, that one is more of a mystery thriller type. That's supposed to be kind of back to his own more psychological type stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, so there you have it, folks. Brian De Palma. We just mentioned other films you should watch besides The Fury of his.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much for that, Andrew. And thank you so much, Kara, for coming on the show as well. I appreciate both of you. And now this is a time when you guys get a license to shill. So, Kara, why don't you let people know where they can find your stuff at?
You can check me out on YouTube. I'm at youtube.com/horror retrospective. I'm also on Twitter at, gosh, I have forgot my handle. It's at retro_horrors.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Yeah, check out those reviews. Great stuff. Looking back at stuff that I don't think a lot of people on YouTube tend to look at. So, it's really great stuff. End of Days. She did an episode on End of Days. I mean, that's awesome. And Andrew, how about you, sir? Go ahead.
Oh, hey, thanks you guys for not stopping me when I go sit there and think out loud when I should just be like using Google, but instead I'm staring at my Plan 9 from Outer Space poster like an asshole, trying to remember like Vampire is gonna somehow jog my memory about Brian De Palma.
She might. You never know.
Well, yeah.
Remembering stuff old school instead of looking it up.
Oh God, it's because I'm afraid I'll lose my fucking mind if I don't use my mind. Okay, so anyway, I got a couple movies on Prime Video, Amazon Prime. One is called Goodbye Dolly. It's a horror movie about killer dolls, and really cheap. And all my friends are in it, and I'm in it too. And I die in a car crash, so there's that. If you don't like me on this show, you can watch my movie and see me die in a car crash. Also, Space Boobs in Space is back on Amazon, even though they tried to get me off of there. I'm back in your ass, Amazon Prime. Watch it while you can, because as soon as they realize it's back on there, they're going to cut my shit. And what else, man? Oh, if you're in Athens, Georgia, or near Athens, Georgia, on the 20th of this month, Teen Filmmakers Showcase. Me and a bunch of people that made movies when we were under like around 14, 12, 11 years old. We're digging up our VHS movies we made and we're playing them for people in the theater. So that's going to be some crazy shit. That's happening on the 20th at Flickr Theater.
Oh, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. Yes, please check out all of these fine folks' material. Great stuff. And worth your time to be sure. So thank you very much for listening to us talk about The Fury, and hopefully it got you at least interested in De Palma. And yeah, if you like movies that involve people using their mind to do nasty things, then this may be up your alley. So now I think we'll just say good night, everyone.
Good night. Oh, you know what I was thinking though? If this movie was The Furry instead.
The Furry?
If everybody wore those costumes with like the penis hole and whatnot, like you're an animal.
That's completely different movie though. I think they've made one like that.
Then you'd explode and it would just be stuff and fluff, like what's inside.
I actually think they've made a movie like that already, Andrew. But if not, there you go. You got an idea for that.
Like in the fade out, you were talking about it's just my tail, but it's stuck to the ceiling fan.
God. Have a good night, everyone. Oh, now I have that mental image in my head. Thank you.
What, of you are exploding?
You're exploding, yes. Oh, there's my tail.
I guess I'll throw myself off the roof.
Great. Now I'm picturing Peter as Eeyore. Oh, look, it's terrorists. They're coming after my son. I guess
It's my
so.
it's my nipples again.
Oh boy, there goes my son. I guess I'll just throw myself off the roof now.
You know who'd survive that fall, Tigger?
Well, yeah, because he bought.
For having me.
You bet. I'll let you know when the next ones are up, in case you want to be on it. And definitely would like to have you on Scanners, which will be near closer to the end of the month. So I'll let you know when that is.
All right, awesome.
For sure. So, and yeah, we'll talk to you guys later.
Bye.
Night.